Welcome back, everyone. Michael here with Offshore Citizen. Today we're going to talk about what is possibly the lowest tax option in Europe and the EU for location-independent workers and digital nomads. It happens that it's also fantastic for investors and for some business owners as well if it's utilized correctly. And most importantly, perhaps, it gives a lot of freedom to those people. So this is, of course, or maybe not so of course, the country of Cyprus. I'm going to talk to you about what are the rules, why is it so amazing for a certain group of people, what are the downsides of it where people may not want to participate, and how it can benefit you, really kind of depending on your situation, whether you're a location-independent worker, whether you're some sort of a freelancer, whether you're somebody who owns a business, is an investor abroad, etc. I'm going to cover it all for you, including what to expect. So wait for that and stick around till the end. Now, before we get started though, as usual, if you have not already, please smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Really helps us, really appreciate it. Make sure you don't miss out on any of our future videos. If you like the video, please share it with your friends. We really appreciate all the support. And if you're at all interested in how to pay the lowest legal amount of tax possible, where you should move, how to structure yourself internationally, we help people with that, as well as actually then how to set up the structures, open bank accounts, form companies, as well as getting residencies and citizenships, including unofficial citizenship by investment programs, etc. And so reach out to us. You can book a call with me, clarity.fm/Michael Rosmer. There's a link in the description below. Or you can check out our websites, offshorecitizen.net and offshorecapitalist.com. Okay, let's get into it. So one of the things that comes up quite a bit is we cover on this channel lots of different places. And I'm going through kind of reviewing the different programs in Europe, and I'll cover the ones around the world as well. So I'll cover, Malaysia and Thailand and Paraguay and Panama and et cetera, et cetera. So don't worry, stick around with the videos that we're going to do. I'm going to cover them all. However, in the meantime, I think one of the relevant questions for a bunch of people is, when we look at something like, for example, we've talked about Portugal a little bit. You have the non-habitual residency program there, which is great if you're receiving dividend income from a qualifying company. You can structure it so it's not on the blacklist and things like this. But the problem with that is if you're working locally, you tend to be subject to 20% tax. Then you can have socials and things like this. So as an actual worker, this is not necessarily the most attractive regime in the world for a lot of people, right? And so there's a lot of people today who are digital nomads, meaning that, maybe you're a freelancer of some sort. Maybe you're somebody who is, you work a job, but you're able to work location independent, and you'd like to be in one place where you could pay lower tax, and maybe you'd like to travel from that place. And a lot of these programs are not so good just because of the fact that, again, you get taxed locally. So one of the solutions I'm going to propose that might be good for you, and I'll cover the actual residency programs in a future video because we don't want to cover too much here, but is Cyprus. And this is in particular the Cyprus Non-Domicile Program. Okay, so in other words, as I've mentioned in previous videos, there is domicile and there's residency, and so you can be resident without being domicile. Loosely speaking, this is when you have citizenship or if you've been resident for more than a certain period of time. So this program is granted to you for a period of 17 years, which is pretty long, right? That's long enough to have a pretty extensive career, certainly longer than the 10 years that you get in Portugal for the NHR program. It's much longer than the Beckham law in Spain. It's longer than what you can get granted in some of the programs in Italy, some of the programs in Greece, etc. So pretty good. All right, so let's talk. I'm going to cover for you a couple different things here. One is, okay, what do you have to do to qualify to be a Cyprus tax resident non-dom, right? The non-dom part we've already talked about, but being a Cyprus resident. Number two, what are the benefits that you get? And we'll have to look up some of these things because I'm probably going to forget to cover it. There's just like so many benefits here, so we're going to go through it. So first of all, most important thing is you have to live in, they have something called the 60-day rule. So this is really useful for you from a freedom standpoint, right? A lot of places that you go, you may have to be resident there for, half the year or something like that, right? So I've talked before about, say, the Portuguese D7 visa, which is quite easy to get, quite attractive for a certain type of person. But they require quite a bit of physical presence. Now you can get away with, because it's in the Schengen zone, not actually spending all that time there. But, what if you want to go outside of the Schengen zone, right? It's a bit of an issue. Whereas Cyprus, you have to spend 60 days out of the year there, okay? So that's not too bad, right? 60 days a year, most people can handle that. Number two, you can't spend more than 183 days in another country, and you can't be tax resident in another country. Okay, so again, not that difficult for somebody who wants to be doing a lot of traveling, right? You want to travel around, you want to see different parts of the world, you go, maybe you come back to Cyprus every once in a while, you spend a few weeks there, easy to get 60 days in, and you can see the world while still maintaining your tax residency in Cyprus. Cyprus has a pretty decent network of tax treaties, so that's beneficial for a bunch of people as they kind of leave their country. One of the things I talk to people about quite a bit is the idea that often when you first leave, it's good to go to a country where you have a tax treaty because you can resort to the tiebreaker rules, okay? So again, quite helpful. You also need to maintain a apartment or house, like you need to have someplace that you either rent or own in Cyprus. So that's another thing that, yeah, it's a requirement. Basically just shows that you have an actual home there. So that's it, not too bad. And by the way, you can get places relatively reasonably in terms of price in Cyprus. So, not bad. Now, let's go through like, what are your benefits from this? So first of all, dividends, tax-free. Oh, the other thing, sorry, is you have to maintain, you either have to have a company there or an employment contract or something like that. So again, we can go through at some point in the future if you're interested. I'm going to do a video on the actual residency programs themselves, so how to qualify. And if you have interest, you can contact us in terms of helping to get set up. So no tax on dividends, okay? We like this quite a bit. So both you can receive it into a holding company, but also you can pay it out, and you can receive dividends both from a local company or from a foreign company tax-free. So that's very good. Interest, tax exempt, and typically capital gains, also tax exempt. So right off the bat, that's pretty good, right? But where I think it's quite interesting, so that's like, if you look at, again, the Portuguese program, you get some kind of similar benefits. It's a little bit more flexible in Cyprus, but that depending, maybe it doesn't really matter to you because maybe you qualify anyway, right? And likewise, I've compared to, say, Malta. Again, it's a little bit more flexible than Malta because you don't have to worry about the remittance base. You can actually remit it into Cyprus, so we like that. The things that I wanted to mention specifically are, so this is like probably the most interesting one. Let's see if I can describe it. So 100% exemption on remuneration for salaried services rendered outside of Cyprus for more than 90 days in the tax year to a non-Cyprus resident employer, or from a non-Cyprus resident employer. This is amazing, okay? So just think about what this means. Let's say, again, you're a digital nomad. Let's say you're a location independent worker, and your employer is in Germany, your employer is in Canada, your employer is in the US, your employer is in, Spain, France, Sweden, whatever. So long as you do the work for more than 90 days outside of the country, which is not difficult if you're traveling around a bunch, right? You can say, hey, listen, I was only here for 60 days. It's pretty obvious that I didn't spend, I spent less than, or like, I spent more than 90 days outside the country doing this work. You can have a complete tax exemption on that salary. That's great. Where else can you get that? You can't get that in Bulgaria. You can't get that in Montenegro. You can't get that in in places like Hungary. In Portugal, you wouldn't qualify for that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a very attractive thing. There's no inheritance tax. There's no wealth tax, et cetera. In addition, if you're in a situation where you do have a salary locally in Cyprus, you can still get some special tax benefits under certain circumstances. You can get a 50% reduction in your tax rate. Tax rates are not great, but not terrible in Cyprus normally, but you can have a 50% reduction. Or under some other circumstances, you can get a 20% reduction or a certain percent of write-off. So pretty attractive, okay? Definitely a place that I think people should consider. Now, to be fair, I've been to Cyprus a number of times. I actually got married in Cyprus. And so, there's some good weather, it's kind of Greek-like climate, etc. That being said, it is an island. There's not a massive amount going on there, certainly especially in the off season. So, maybe you don't like it as a place to live. That's totally up to you. However, when you only have to spend 60 days a year there, right? I mean, you can be there for the summer, great period of time. You can go to the beach, you can swim in the Mediterranean, awesome. And then you can go somewhere else for the rest of the year. So definitely worth considering. I hope that was interesting to you. Again, if you have questions about it, put them in the comments below. Happy to answer them. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, please share with me in the comments to let me know. And if you are interested at all, like I said, in this or other programs, properly structuring yourself, etc., please reach out to me. Like I said, you can book a call, cordia.m/Michael Rosmer. There's a link below in the description. Or you can check out our websites, offshorecitizen.net, offshorecapitalist.com. You can send us a message through there. If you haven't already subscribed, click the notification bell. We really appreciate that. Appreciate if you share. And yeah, I'm going to see you guys on the next video.